Ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
Welcome to week 5 of the Bill Neese's Coaches Show with host Chip Hare. With us is Coach Bill Neese. The Indians get a huge win on Friday night here at Alexander Stadium, going to 4-0, winning 27-0 to get the back-to-back week shutouts. And Coach, our defense is awfully good. We knew that. But what people don't know is we beat a very, very good football team. As Coach Bargy said to me coming into the game on Friday, Stebbins has some dudes.
I think they do. I think they had some very good players, and I've said it before, they had a great scheme. I think they're doing things fundamentally that are sound, and they're building a program the correct way. Had a couple breaks that didn't go their way, and I think after the game, we felt we played good, and anytime you can get a team into multiple turnovers, I think that's going to help you, obviously, win the football game. But it wasn't one of those things where, where we're walking around thumping our chest screaming, hey, we killed these guys, because it was a close game. We came in the locker room at halftime and made more adjustments to the mind, and we weren't doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that they were a good football team, and we just said we got to keep playing. And usually right around the third quarter, sometimes some stuff cracks, and it cracked a little bit. We saw an opening, we got in, we got a big play. That medley play really helped us a lot. Oh, yeah. And then once that happened and we were able to get our pass rush going, I think it was a different ballgame.
We talk about our defense. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But let's talk about the first half. In particular to the first half, you said we really weren't doing anything wrong. There were a couple missed opportunities and turnovers. You said last week in the coaches show, turnovers and big plays. Those are the really things that you look at on the stat sheet, if anything else. The turnovers, both teams, but in particular, we're up 7-0. But it's still we weren't still settled in yet, and you talked about making those adjustments at halftime.
Anytime we came in in the locker room, and although it was 7-7, 7-0, we had thrown our first interception of the year at the 1 foot 1 inch yard line, number one, and that really just everybody on offense was just like dang, hoping it didn't happen, and then we had a fumble, and in the meantime we did not capitalize on the fact that we had a 37-yard short field. So after we pointed that out to everybody, and everybody said, okay, all we need to do is just settle in and get going and get the grind going again. I think everything turned out fairly well for us.
Well, and we talk about the second half, and you talk about wearing, and you might say it's conditioning. It's also depth. You just have a lot of weapons in the back, and you talk about the Josiah Medley play, and that just. The word crack, open up, there was a crack, he had a crack, and he took it open and found his way into a score. Mm-hmm. That's a huge momentum, and that lifts everybody up, and I thought the defense really just responded to that.
They did. We've got two different approaches there, with our offensive line. We've got our zone blocking schemes, which I think, our running backs kind of feature, and they're allowed to, get good vision, and they can, a lot of times they can bounce it, they can, what we call bang it, which is right there, or you can bend it back. They've got, they've got some opportunities, and then, we've got our power series where we're kind of blocking down, and then kicking out, and I think that's where you're looking to crease that defense a little bit, and I think we got that crease, and Meds was able to get going, and all of our running backs, I thought Tanner's run it was almost like it was in slow motion when he kept weaving back and forth, and he had Blaine all out in front of him, and Blaine would get on one side of the guy, get on the other side of the guy. It was just probably one of the strangest long runs I've seen in a while, and people don't realize, of all the running backs we have, Tanner's probably the most underrated of the three of them.
Dangerous.
Yeah, he has some God-given skills out there when he has a football in his hand.
Our abilities to read the defenses as well, as you were talking about. I mean, Tanner knew he kind of weaved, he stayed behind his blockers. That was huge. You said it to me last week. You just said it again. Our receivers. You said our receivers block. And
Yes.
there were some plays that stuck out watching the game that our guys, Meds including, got where they got to because receivers were blocking.
Yeah, and when you look at the scores of our, each one of our players on offense gets graded, by their individual coach. Our coaches come in. People don't probably realize that the coaches are in at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning the day after a game, and they're grading the players. So we can give them immediate feedback on how they've done. Players come in on Saturday and immediately go look at the grades and see what's going on. And our receivers, as a whole, we had 3 of them grade out over 90. 2 other ones were in the 80s, 85s, and it's not talking about just catching the ball. We're talking about blocking. We're talking about assignments, and you factor in, one of our receivers, one of our inside receivers, Corey Miller, ends up this week with one of the Bomb Awards, which is a big hit award on our kickoff team. So all those receivers, not only are they, helping us blocking, helping us catching a football, but they're also, a majority of them are on our kick coverage teams, which is, incredible. I mean, only colleges can do that, where you can get the big receivers and get them out and get them running down the field.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our defense on a shutout and what that meant for not just our team, but just to keep that momentum going. Obviously, there were 2 different teams from Greenville to Stebbins, but that's a tough team that we shut out, and that team put some points on the board. So I think it has a lot to do with our schemes, but our defense, our personnel, and understanding and reading what those scouting reports are saying. That our defense right now is a big staple of what pickle football is about.
I think they are, and I think our front line, our 2 ends, Jerry Lewis there, and Jarrell Lewis and Landon Hare are 1 and 3 right now in the Miami Valley League in sacks. Lyons is just a force in the middle, and then Tate Adams has been filling in very well for Lance Reeves. And our linebackers are very experienced. I think our linebackers probably as a whole have more FBI, which we call football intelligence. I think those 4 have more FBI than anybody I've coached. They're able to gap exchange. They're able to mix blitzes. Perfect example of this is we blitzed Damian Lawson. He was supposed to blitz the B gap, and the defensive end was in the B gap. So he rolled it back and went to the A gap, knowing that that's where the end should have been. So he just gap replaced over to the A gap. He hit the A gap, and the running back came through the A gap and turned around. He recognized the fact that the running back was turning around because they were setting a screen. So he turns around and runs back, intercepts the screen pass. And so in the process of the whole thing, he made that blitz correct. He blitzed, and most kids, when you blitz and they throw a screen and you say, yeah, tough luck. He's on a blitz and was able to come back and intercept a screen pass, all in the same play, and that was a lot of brain power that took to do all that.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is forced turnovers. And again, we got some forced turnovers the other night. That was really big. Strayer got a nice INT as well.
Both of our corners were big.
Aiden Meyer got a big one. I mean, those guys had big plays. And you talk about the whole thing. You don't just have a line, and you don't just have linebackers. It's a combination of toughness, speed, but football intellect.
Yeah, it's a coordinated effort, and our secondary, as to a person, I thought last year if anybody took their lumps, it was our secondary in the course of a couple games, and they were all 3 sophomores back there, and we had some couple rough Friday nights, and those guys have come back, and they're leading our league in interceptions. Everybody back there has an interception, at least one, and it's just a whole different mindset for those 3 guys back there.
Well, Coach, as we talk about Stebbins, and it's certainly, we look at that as a big win. We know that's a good football team who's going to win some football games here the rest of the season. We now turn our attention to week 5, and that is at Tippecanoe on the road. Don't have to say what they are. They are a good football team, and being on the road, there's a couple challenges there.
Yeah, they're an excellent football team, and they're great balance on offense, and defensively, they're one of the top defenses in the league. So it's a big challenge for us this week. We've got to be able to get the schemes down, both on offense, both on defense. In the meantime, keep ourselves fresh. And then there's a variable that they've ran 2 kickoffs back for touchdowns. this year. 2 different people. So that tells you that the scheme they're running is pretty darn good, in addition to the fact they have some really good people. They've got a receiver and they've got a running back that both were able to take it, the distance on a kickoff. So, we've got the sirens out. We've got the glasses on. We're ready to deal with that.
Coach, we'll talk about a close game, and we've said this in years past, how important special teams is. And, we've been in a game right now that special teams has helped, particularly in the Troy game. But we're going to be in another game that this week that probably special teams is going to play a key factor into that.
Huge. It's going to be massive. And Garrett Shrub is a great weapon for us, returning our punts. He catches most of them. One of the big statistics that I like to use in football is the fact that every time you do not catch a punt, on average, you lose 18 yards of field position because those punts hit and then they roll. And so if we can just catch it, we don't care if you're going to not get any yards. If we can just catch it alone, that saves us almost 18 yards every time someone punts. And over the course of, let's say our average right now is our opponents are punting 5 times a game. And if you take that's almost a football field by itself, just in those hidden yards right there. So I think, Garrett's doing a great job for us from that angle.
Well, I don't have to tell you, 18 yards obviously is a difference between winning and losing. And in this stage of the game, we're probably looking at what could be, up to this point, our biggest test, a team that hasn't lost, a team that is coming off probably one of their biggest wins that they've had. And
confidence level's big.
So,
it's all there. It's going to be a big contest.
Coach, what can we expect? I mean, we have seen this coaching staff before. It's no secret. They Coach Burbacher, we should say Coach Burbachers, have been at Troy. They are now at Tip, where they call home. What can we expect to see this week from them, both offensively and defensively? Is it going to be similar to what we've seen last year, or do you see some variances?
Yeah, the biggest difference, I think, from this year and last year in their offense is they're not using a tight end as much as they have in the past, but they've got an inside H-back power game like we have. They have a spread offense, using their quarterback on some various reads that we have. So there's a lot of similarities. I think when you look back on everybody's offense, I think everybody is kind of moving toward that same type of offense. I mean, minus maybe Xenia, but otherwise everybody's kind of in that particular mode of offense. So, that would be on that side of the ball. Defensively, they base out of a 50, but a lot of times, they're in gaps and they're moving. It's a very multiple defense, and it's very important for our offensive linemen to be able to stay structurally sound in what we're doing and understand what our targets are, what our paths are, and what we're supposed to do. And I think our quarterback is going to be vital to the situation to be able to give us some time to look at some things and operate from that angle. I thought last week our offense did another great job of using our tempo of, we get a big play, we're down the field, and boom, we're on the ball right now. And we're either going to, hopefully get you to jump off sides, or we're going to actually run a play. And you've got to, be ready for either one of those at the same time. So I think tempo will probably play a role in this game also.
What is very clear in the tempo you talk about is the physical but also mental conditioning that you have to have in football, because it's next play. Whether the play was a good play or a blow up or one that was highly successful, we don't have time to sulk or celebrate. We got to get ready for the next play.
And then that's the way football should be taught. It should be taught that you have a series of plays, and if you're thinking about the play before, then obviously you're going to get killed again with the next play. So you got to make sure you're taking it one play at a time. Forget about it, move on to the next one.
Well, Coach, we certainly expect Friday to be an outstanding ball game. When we look at this game in particular, one last question to the game. What is our keys to winning Friday night at Tippecanoe?
How about this? Big plays and turnovers. How about that? Who's got them and who doesn't have them, and who can prevent them and who can get them, and throw a little special teams in to boot and catch a couple punts and keep that thing down. And I think we'll be in good shape.
To me, as a fan, this is what high school football is all about. And it's exciting to get ready for something like that. And to be in the privilege to be a part of something like this.
Yeah, it's massive, and like I said, when you look at games, there's two things that generate momentum, generate energy, generate emotion. I mean, nobody gets that excited. If you get a 10-yard gain, nobody gets that excited about this or this. A lot of statistics. Hey, they converted their third down, but I'm gonna tell you what: you get a big play, you get a chunk play, and you get somebody down there getting ready to tempo up, or you get interception or a fumble, that switches the course of everything.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about our seniors. Let's shift it a little bit. We got Silas Bragg and Lance Reeves-Hicks, two guys that certainly have had an impact. Lance, as we know, he's suffered a little bit of his PCL, and he's laid up. But one thing I've noticed about Lance, he is not just showing up anymore. He leads those kids, not just his position, but all positions.
He does, and he's been a great player for us for 4 years, and we're really hoping, thinking that with the therapy and with things that he's doing right now, because he's actively getting after it, that we're going to see him back and on the field, and that's our goal. I told him, I said, I don't think they've seen the last of you yet, and the way he's attacking his his physical therapy, I wouldn't put it past him that he would be able to get back sooner than even what everybody expects. So he's been a big player for us. He's played since he's been a freshman. I've
one of the few guys that you have had on your, and you don't have a lot of freshmen that played for you all 4 years. And he's one of them.
And he's one, and he's also my position also. So I've spent a lot of time with him, and he's a quality person, and he sees life in good eyes, and as to how it's supposed to be lived and how it's supposed to be played. So, we're very fortunate to have guys like him on our team. And then Silas has been in our program for 4 years. He's been a lift-a-thon winner in his weight class, a guy that's just really worked his butt off to get to the point where now he's on special teams. He's a special teams contributor, and we think that's great. And you get out there and you say, well, maybe I'm not starting, but I'm a backup. I'm in special teams. You're on a team that hasn't lost a game yet, and you're just loving every minute of it right now. So I think he's having a great time, great senior year. He's going to have a lot of memories of being out, a lot of times people say, I don't miss so much of this. I miss just hanging out with the guys, the camaraderie in the locker room, and that kind of stuff. And I think he's going to be able to come out of here with a lot of good memories.
One thing that I hear over and over again from our seniors is the same message every week. And they say it in different words, but the theme is the same. And coming to practice every day, enjoying coming to practice, and enjoying working hard to prepare for the next game, because as some of them said, we've never experienced anything like this before, and whatever we're doing, we want to keep it going. And the chemistry, number one, with each other is strong, which we've talked about. But two, these guys are not afraid of hard work.
No, they're not, and they're very good learners. They're very good listeners, and we did a couple things Friday night that we had never done, just on a couple, just nothing major, but I said one word and everybody knew what I was talking about, and everybody was able to do it, and just that kind of concept where we did something on the practice field 2 weeks ago, and I said Friday night, I said the one word, and boom, they did it, and I think that's a tribute to those guys that they get in. We have meetings before, we have meetings after practice. Nobody is trying to get out of the meetings. Nobody is sleeping during meetings, not paying attention. They come in there, they mask up, they get their pens in their hand, and whatever we've offered. And also we got a pretty good coaching staff, I think, that prepares well and has short, concise meetings that keep the kids' interest. And it's not like they're in there for 25 minutes going, okay, watch this play, that kind of stuff. We're in there, they prepare. For a 5-minute meeting, Coach probably prepares 30 minutes for that meeting to get the exact clips that they want, the exact drawings they want, so those players can get that visual, can learn it, whichever way they're going to learn it, and then get on down the line. So I think that's a real tribute to our coaching staff.
Well, and as you talked about your coaching staff, you guys are coming in at 5:30 on Saturday morning, but you're also putting a lot of hours in on Sunday to get ready for the next one. So and it certainly reflects, and I know it's one fine oil machine that just keeps on going one game at a time, and certainly one game will be Friday night as the Indians travel to Tippecanoe with a 7 p.m. kickoff at Tip City Park. We'll be back part 2. We're going to talk to Silas, and we're going to talk to Lance, senior feature for week 5 of the Coach Bill Nieses Show. Welcome to part 2 of the Bill Nieses Coach Show. This is the senior feature portion. We're going to have the players introduce their names and also their positions.
This is Silas Bragg, and I play inside linebacker, and I'm on the extra point team.
I'm Lance Reeves-Hicks, and I play defensive tackle.
Silas and Lance, thanks for being with us today. Before we get into this, I know it's been a bit of an interesting year for the Indians. We have had a year of unusuals, an unusual off-season. It's been an unusual preseason with no scrimmages. It's been an unusual season with, limited fans. But what has been awfully special has been this team, and off to a good start. Silas, what has it been like for you just to be able to be a part of this from the off season into the preseason, actually into the season? 4 games in, 4-0. The Indians doing very well right now.
I mean, it's something I've never really experienced before. I mean, all the way up through, Pee Wee, going through junior high and everything. I mean, we was back and forth, but there's nothing like this season has been so far. It's going great.
Lance, for you, what's it like to be able to see this team come together and what a lot of people thought was going to be a good team, but actually start to come to fruition? From your perspective, it's got to be special for you.
Yeah, it's very special. I mean, it's kind of bittersweet because, I've been through, for these past 4 years, I've been through it all, and I knew this would happen eventually. It was really big for us, working hard in the off season, not taking any days off and not taking anything for granted, and we were able to get a big win against Troy the first week, and it's just carried on.
Let's talk a little bit about that bittersweet for you, Lance. Lance, a lot of people have been asking, where's Lance at? What's going on? You injured yourself in the first game. Talk a little bit about where you are right now with your injury. What was the diagnosis, and what's going through Lance's head right now?
Well, as far as my injury, I got an MRI, and I have a small tear in my PCLs behind your ACL, and I don't need surgery or anything, but I just have to do therapy, and I have to rest. So I'm just basically playing the waiting game. I'm not really sure if I'll play again this season or be able to wrestle, but I'm just happy to see my teammates doing well, and I'm doing the best I can to be the best leader I can, even though I can't play anymore.
Lance, I appreciate that. I know from just from a competitor's perspective, I know that's real hard for you to say that and watch, but I also know that you're a true team guy. You're out there encouraging these guys. I see you week in and week out. I know it's hard watching from the sideline, but you truly are being a leader by helping these guys. And obviously got Tate Adams who's in your spot, but I don't just see you encouraging him and coaching him up. I see you coaching up a lot of guys.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make sure everybody's on point. I mean, I've always been dominant at the defensive tackle position, but now that, someone else has to be in my place and, make up for whatever it was lost, it's important that you not only motivate that person, but everyone else around them so that, there's an even flow of everything.
And Silas, I haven't forgot about you. Just this one play here, I gotta go through this one because Lance, if there's one play your senior year that you did get to play against Troy. The one play to me that probably a lot of people don't talk about, but it was the one play that really stopped Troy's momentum. There in the third quarter, they started to get some momentum. They were getting some scoring. And they had a fullback. It was pretty big.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Oh, he's a horse. And they kept freeing the ball down the middle. And there was one play that we made a couple adjustments and switches. And I don't know if you remember, you individually took him down by yourself. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I forget where the way we were lined up, but I was lined up over the center, and I knew he was coming for me. A couple times during the game, I kind of got like some side tackles on him and wasn't able to take him down on my own, but I knew if it was 1v1, I'd be able to get him, and when it happened, I came through.
Well, I tell you, I talked to Coach K about it, and we thought that was a pure wrestling move, the way you took that guy down.
Yeah, it was kind of a blast devil type deal.
Well, it was a good momentum from you, and I know at least your senior year you got to play against Troy and get the win and swing the momentum the other way. So thanks for sharing that highlight with us. Silas, we want to get back to you. Talk a little bit about your insights of what this team has and what makes this team special, a little bit different than maybe some of the other teams that you played on that you alluded to earlier in our conversation.
Yeah, I think this team has a lot of talent. I mean, you got Josiah Medley. He's super fast, and then you have Karan. I mean, he's an animal. And then you have, I mean, this team has tons of talent, and then it all comes through and hard work every day at practice. Through the off season, I mean, we was out there every day working our butts off.
Well, and you talk about the talent that we have, but being able to keep that talent and come to practice every day and be humble, but yet hungry. Humble and hungry. I think those are two things that I'm hearing you say, and without saying those things, while it's nice to have success, we got a big game on Friday and with Tippecanoe, and I know this team is going to be focused in and lasered into doing what we got to do to get that job done on the road.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good football team. I mean, I think they'll be one of the better teams that we played so far this year. And I mean, we're out there, we're putting our work in and getting prepared, and it's going to be a good game on Friday.
Well, Silas, I appreciate you sharing that part of it. I would like to fast forward a little bit. We're going to get past graduation, and Silas, talk to us a little bit about what your goals are, or what your thoughts are past graduation, and what's life going to look like for you?
I plan to graduate early this year and just go into the workforce. I don't plan on going to college. I kind of just decided to put my future on just working and getting a good job, and just plan on going on from there. So.
Silas, what playing here in a program like this and under Coach Neese and some of your other coaches, how does that help you get ready for the workforce? You think you got a leg up or a little bit of an advantage of understanding about what it takes to be successful in the workforce?
I mean, a lot of it's leadership and the willing to work hard and your dedication to what you need to put into it. I mean, I worked hard all my years I've played football, and I mean, I kind of wish I could have had some better opportunities to start or whatnot, but I mean, everything is there for a reason. And I mean, leadership, I know the coaches put a lot of leadership on us and make us work hard, and it's going to help me a lot in my future.
Well, Silas, I have no doubt you're going to be successful, just because what you do every day, day in and day out, you'll apply to your position. We certainly wish you well down the road. Lance, let's talk a little bit about you. You mentioned your future a little bit, about college and Princeton. Talk a little bit about what that process was like, because you were kind of going through a recruitment process. Just kind of walk through us that real quickly about how that experience was for you.
It was a very good experience. I mean, I was kind of iffy because, I mean, I'm good at football, but I'm not exactly the prototype size at defensive tackle, so I was kind of worried about the recruiting process. And then I started to get more and more offers during quarantine, and a lot of coaches talking to me and stuff, and I was eventually able to visit some places. But I mean, it's a lot different. It's not like a time no other, because I mean, you can't meet the coaches in person. You have to do Zoom meetings and things like that. But ultimately, when I came down to my decision, I feel like I made the right one so far.
What helped you, and what was the deciding factor when it came down to Princeton? Was it an Ivy League school? Was it, hey, I wanted to get away from Piqua? Was it what they had to offer you? Obviously, you weren't just thinking about football. You were thinking about big picture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in big support of the idea of longevity, and I felt like overall the Ivy League was the way for me. I had some bigger offers and some different places I can go to for football, but I mean, getting away from Piqua was also big for me. I don't want to be around here longer than I have to, and I feel like the Ivy League would present me with the best opportunity to be the man I want to be, regardless of what happens with my football career.
Well, Lance, I can tell you it's been an honor to watch you play football and also wrestle here. We know whatever you decide to do, you're going to be highly successful, because you're not just a good football player, a good wrestler, you're an outstanding student young man, and to both of you. So we certainly wish both of you luck.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys being here with us in the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. This will be the only week where there will be no game on the Indian Nation station. People ask, why isn't the game going to be on the internet down there? And that was just key word right there, internet. There is no internet at Tip City. They don't have any access. So we will have a couple cameras down there. We'll have highlights. I know AJ will have that on the Indian Nation station. I presume he'll have something up potentially maybe even over the weekend. We're going to try to give live updates on Twitter. You can go to Twitter and get those, the Piqua Athletics website, or excuse me, Twitter feed, so you can get those. Big game. Indians, Tip City Red Devils, Friday night at the Tip Park, what will be a outstanding showdown between two outstanding teams. Silas and again, Lance, thank you, and we certainly wish you guys well. I'm your host, Chip Hare, and we will see you the next week on the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. Have a good day.